Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something I think is a total game changer. Growing your own incredibly fresh food all year round, right inside your house. And no, you don't need a garden, you don't need a balcony, you don't even need a sunny window. We are talking about growing food in a closet.
Okay, let's just get right to it. You know the feeling, right? You go to the grocery store, you spend way too much money on this beautiful-looking head of lettuce, you bring it home, and 2 days later, it's a sad, slimy mess in your crisper drawer. It is just the most frustrating and expensive cycle.
So let's look at the side-by-side here, because the difference is just wild. You've got the grocery store stuff, it's pricey, you have no idea what pesticides are on it, and it's basically on a timer to wilt. But then, look at the closet garden. You're talking pennies for a head of lettuce. You control everything, and you harvest it literally seconds before you eat it. The freshness isn't even in the same league.
So how is this even possible? Well, the secret is a method called hydroponics. And what that really means is you're feeding the plants directly through water instead of soil. This little trick makes them grow up to 25% faster. And get this, it uses up to 90% less water than traditional farming. It's just insanely efficient.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds super technical, probably really expensive. I want you to just push that thought right out of your head. We're going to break down your very first hydroponic system, and we're only going to talk about the gear you actually need. It is so much simpler than you think.
So the system we're going to build is called a deep water culture system, or DWC. And look at this, it's just 4 simple parts. Part 1, a regular old 5-gallon bucket. 2, this little plastic basket called a net pot. That's what holds your plant. 3, a cheap aquarium air pump to bubble oxygen in the water. And 4, some clay pebbles just to give the roots something to hang on to. That's it. Seriously, that is the entire system.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. All the experts agree that this DWC method is the perfect place for beginners to start. It's so forgiving and you need the least amount of stuff to make it work. So if you're just starting, this is the one. It's cheap, it's simple, and it absolutely works.
Okay, so we've got our system built. Now we need to talk about the secret formula, the 3 things your plants need to really take off. We're going to cover light, water, and food. And I promise, this is not going to be a chemistry lesson. This is the simple, practical stuff you need to know.
All right, first up is light. You're going to see this crazy acronym, PPFD. It looks super complicated, but the idea behind it is so simple. All you have to do is think of it as measuring how many tiny drops of sunlight are hitting your plant's leaves every single second. More drops means more food, more energy, and more growth. Simple as that.
So how many of these light drops do you actually need? Well, for things like lettuce and herbs, this is your magic number. You want to aim for a PPFD somewhere between 200 and 400. And since there's no sun in your closet, you'll use a simple LED light for about 14 to 16 hours a day. The easiest way to do this, a $10 outlet timer. You set it once, and you never have to think about it again.
Okay, next up, water. Now this is maybe the most important part. Think of the plant food, all those good nutrients, as being inside a locked lunchbox. Well, the pH of your water is the key to that lunchbox. If your pH drifts outside of this sweet spot, this magic range of 5.5 to 6.5, the lunchbox stays locked. Your plant could be swimming in food, but it can't eat any of it. So keeping your water in this range is absolutely crucial.
All right, let's put all the pieces together. We're going to walk through the entire journey, from one tiny little seed all the way to a full-on salad. And you know what the best part is? This whole transformation, it only takes about 6 weeks. So everything starts with getting that seed to sprout. We use these little spongy cubes called rock wool. They're perfect for starting seeds. The process is super easy. You just soak the cube in some pH-balanced water, drop a seed or 2 in the little hole, keep it moist, and then, once your little baby plant has 2 to 4 real leaves, it's strong enough to move into its new home in the bucket. And here's what that 6-week journey looks like. It's so manageable when you see it laid out like this. Week 1 is just starting the seeds. By week 3, the real fun begins, when you move it into the system. Weeks 4 and 5 are just, boom, explosive growth. And then, by week 6, it is time for the payoff.
And speaking of the payoff, let's get to the absolute best part. We're going to talk about how to harvest your greens so they just keep growing, how to fix the most common beginner problems, and exactly what you need to pick up to get started, like today. This right here, this is one of my favorite things about growing this way. It's called the cut and come again method. Instead of pulling up the whole plant when you want a salad, you just snip off the bigger outer leaves. The center of the plant just keeps on producing new leaves. This means you can get fresh salads from the very same plant for weeks and weeks. It's incredible.
Now, of course, things might not go perfectly right away. But please do not worry about it. This is your cheat sheet. See some yellow leaves? It's probably a nutrient issue. Plant growing kind of slow? Double-check your light and your pH. The main thing to know is that for basically every common problem, there is a super simple fix.
So what does it actually cost to get into this? What's the barrier to entry? Well, as you can see, it's way lower than you'd think. You can get every single thing you need, the bucket, the pump, the light, the food, all of it, for about $100. And remember, that's a one-time cost for a setup that will pay for itself in fresh salads really, really quickly.
So there you have it. We've covered the why, the how, and the what. You now have the complete blueprint to go from an empty closet to an endless supply of your own homegrown food. The only real question left is the one on the screen. Are you ready to be eating your first harvest in just 6 weeks?